Hello everybody, Matt here back again with day 11 of Watcha Reading, and it's more Fujoshi stuff. Yeah, I was looking through my pile of books and thinking, well, what volume ones do I have that aren't too long, that would be nice and short and sweet for this kind of format that I've wanted to talk about for ages, that I couldn't put on the podcast. And lo and behold, BL Metamorphosis, I have the other 4 volumes to my left off camera. And BL Metamorphosis is a perfect fit because honestly, this volume is a bit of a pain in the butt to get, which tells me it's either between print runs or out of print. So, as is the case sometimes with 7 Seas titles. So, this is a book by Kaori Tsurutani. It was published in New Type from 2017 to 2020. It's 5 volumes, as I mentioned, so it's a short and sweet series, it's slice of life, and it is essentially about a budding relationship that forms between a senior citizen and a high school girl after the senior citizen, whose name is Ichinoi, walks into a bookstore and kind of by accident buys some BL, thinking that she's just getting shoujo, and the high school girl who works behind the counter, Urara, is kind of clocking that this older lady is buying BL, but she doesn't say anything. And yeah, generally from there, hilarity ensues. And so, you know, you get these scenes of her purchasing the book, which are very nice and very wholesome. I really, really like the art within this book. And then, of course, after reminiscing about Aim for the Ace and Rose of Versailles, she starts to read this book. And soon does she discover, as she flicks over to the end of the book where the boys are kissing, she goes, oh my, that she's stumbled into some BL. So what ends up happening then is she ends up going back to the store, buying the second volume, and chatting with Urara, who we secretly learn is, as I've already said, Fujoshi, and she is keeping her stash of BL hidden away from her parents in her cupboard and is a bit ashamed of it. Which, you know, I'm sure will be a plot point later, he says, having read the other books. From there, it generally gets into these two women's relationship. Ichinoi starts to come into the bookshop more, starts asking Urara not only for more volumes of the same series, but generally just wants recommendations on what to read, you know, which I could also do with. If anyone could recommend any BL, that would be great actually, because I haven't read much. And yeah, generally speaking, what ends up happening is they end up starting to meet outside of work, where Urara starts to lend her own books and start to give her recommendations, even though with some of them she's a little bit embarrassed about the content, but you know, they become fast friends and it's very, very wholesome. And the rather grim, the 6th chapter starts with Ichinoi doing the math on when these books are released. And she's like, well, there's one a year released, so crap, I'm 85 now. Maybe I've got 6 books left in me. And I was just like, oh man, that's really grim. But then I realised that I probably do that with One Piece, going, I hope One Piece ends before my time is up. Yeah, as I mentioned, Urara throughout the book is constantly getting into awkward situations in school and at work, and she is ashamed of her BL collection. As I said, she even lends Ichinoi some yaoi, and I think she's afraid of what this lady is then going to think when she starts to read things, you know, where people are getting it on. And obviously, she's cool with it. Ichinoi is a very cool, savvy old lady. It's just a couple of oh my's and a few gasps, but there's nothing more to it than that. The book ends with the two of them actually agreeing to go to J Garden in Sunshine City in Ikebukuro, which is of course a big real-life doujin event for BL and yaoi stuff. And yeah, after reminiscing a little bit about never getting to see the observatory with her husband and kind of groaning over the lines, Ichinoi says, yeah, let's do it. Maybe there won't be another chance. Let's get to it. All in all, very, very, very good book. Obviously, I will not spoil anything, but my immediate fear after reading this first volume for the first time was, oh no, this is setting up for heartbreak, isn't it? I mean, you only have to look at the front cover and see this beautiful, beautiful illustration by Tsurutani, and just, you know, you can see the age gap of 58 years between these two characters, and, you know, the dread throughout the book is, oh no, is Ichinoi going to be okay? Is it going to end in tears? I will not spoil anything, but I will say I think this is a beautiful book. I think it has a lot to say about these people's friendships. It's very, very wholesome. It's very, very slice of life. The one thing I will say, it's kind of hinted on here and it's never really elaborated on, but Ichinoi's daughter lives overseas. I can't remember where they say it is, but it clearly looks somewhere pan-European is what I will say when you're flicking through this and you see them. And yeah, essentially the daughter starts to visit more, and that becomes part of the drama of this book, other than Urara kind of getting to terms with her shyness and her love of BL. You also see her drawing in this book, which is why she wants to go to J Garden, and yeah, naturally, lots of plots can stem out of that. Very, very good book, very wholesome, very, very nice read, especially as we're going into the winter months. Everyone can do with something a little bit wholesome. So if you see BL Metamorphosis on the shelf of your local comic book shop, I highly, highly recommend picking it up, because chef's kiss from me. Anyways, folks, that is the end of this video. If you have read BL Metamorphosis, and again, if you have any recommendations for BL, then please let me know. It's a genre that I've barely scratched the surface of. I've read I'm Not So Lonely Planet. I've read one or two other series, but yeah, again, always looking for recommendations on stuff, especially in areas where I don't know that much. Okay, until tomorrow, folks, where I'll be back with a classic shonen that I've never read before. Be sure, as always, to read on. Take care. Bye-bye.